Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. It's finally here, Breeders' Cup weekend. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. We're going to take a look at the 4 Breeders' Cup races on the Friday card at Keeneland, part of a 10-race card. And the Breeders' Cup races will start in the 6th. Jim, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf at a mile for 2-year-olds on the grass. Who'd you like?
Well, I tried to talk myself off Aeroforce, but I kept going back and watching that Bourbon here on a yielding track, which may very well catch on Friday. The Bourbon was so impressive, beat Camelot Kitten just so easily, and Siding Spring, another horse, was nominated in this race. So I'm going to take the Mark Casse horse. Been working lights out since then. I can't find a reason to play against Aeroforce in here. The Europeans have owned this race in the last few years, so I'm going to take Simric, the 13, for John Gosden. The horse has a 112 Racing Post rating last time out. It has been improving gradually and looks like a contender from over there. You never know how those 2-year-olds run over here, but they've been good in the past, so I'm going to say this horse has a real shot, along with Hit It a Bomb, the 14. Aiden O'Brien always brings a loaded gun over here, and Hit It a Bomb looks like he's the real deal with a neck win his maiden race and then stretched it out to the same distance but on a poly track at Dundalk and had a 110 rating. So this horse is probably the best 2-year-old in England right now. So actually in Ireland, ran in Ireland. But Hit It a Bomb has got a real shot as well. I'm going to take Aeroforce. I'm going to say our hometown Mark Casse. We're going to adopt Mark Casse from Canada and say Aeroforce is going to hold off the Euros in the juvenile turf.
I got the same one. We didn't talk about this before, but for all the same reasons, just, he was very authoritative in his win in the Bourbon at a longer distance, and he did it from a bad post. And he's had sharp work since then, so I liked Aeroforce as well. I got to use the 2 Europeans, even though I hate the post positions, 13 and 14. I'm also going to use another European who's drawn very well, the 4, Shogun. And he wasn't that far behind some of these, so I'm going to throw him in there as well. And then I'm also going to take a look at a couple of other horses that are drawn better. Azar, the 2, and Highland Sky, a big price, the 5 for Barclay Tag. Looking to find some big prices to go with Aeroforce. And I think this potentially could be a big payoff race because you've got 2 of the better horses that have really poor post positions in Simric and Hit It a Bomb. But I'll definitely be using those because of their quality. But Aeroforce is my pick to win. Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, all of these are grade 1s, is the 7th race at a mile on the Keeneland main track, 3-year-olds and up. And I couldn't go against Liam's Map. I just love the speed that he showed in the races up at Saratoga. Anybody that challenged him, he just ran him into the ground and kept going and nearly won the Whitney and having to go very fast early. And if he needs to be, if somebody does try to go with him, he has shown the ability that he can set just slightly off and still finish and win. So I couldn't find a good reason to not pick Liam's Map, even though he'll be maybe the biggest favorite of the day. I would use Lee and Red Vine are the 2 I would think if you want to spread out in a multi-race wager, I would use those 2 as the best options. Lee's a grade 1 winner and 3 for 3 at a mile, and those are 2 pretty powerful stats for a horse that's 8-1 on the morning line. War Envoy I might throw in as well, but the key horse will be Liam's Map for me. How about you?
I'm going to try to begin with Lee. I think Lee comes up to this race absolutely perfectly. I think that the Woodbine Mile was a perfect tune-up and almost won it. And going back to his favorite surface and his favorite distance, he's never been beaten at a mile in the dirt. Liam's Map, the only question mark I've got is why did they not go in the Classic with him? And I guess Todd Pletcher is just convinced that he cannot get a mile and a quarter because he would have been not the favorite of the Classic, but certainly one of the top 3 after that Woodward win. And I guess he's just convinced that a mile is a better distance. But he's actually cutting back from a mile and an eighth. And Lee goes from a mile on the turf to a mile in the dirt. I like that angle better. I don't think Liam's Map gets an easy lead with Bradester in there, with Mr. Z in there. You got some wild cards that may go with him as well. And I just think it sets up perfectly for Lee, and I'm going to use him in my multi-race wagers. And the one thing I meant to say before the juvenile turf is that on Breeders' Cup days, I play a lot of pick 3s because if you can pick one race and key around that one race, you can make some serious cash with these long shots that are going to come in. You just can't figure out where they are. So go deep in the races you don't feel good about. But I think Lee and Liam's Map are the 2 horses that can win this race. Wicked Strong would be my other horse at a little bit of a price. He always tries hard. He always gets in the money. And he could pick up the pieces if there is a speed duel and if Lee doesn't run his A game. Valid could as well. Red Vine could as well. But I think Liam's Map the 3, Lee the 5, with a very slight edge to Lee, the 5 horse in the Breeders' Cup Mile.
8th race, Juvenile Fillies Turf, a mile also, and it's for 2-year-old fillies, obviously. Who did you like in a very well-matched group here?
I really hate to put the kiss of death on Mark Casse, but I really like Catch a Glimpse here. I went back and looked at the Woodbine race in the Talma Stakes back on September 12th, and Florent Giroux went to Woodbine that day to ride a colt, and he rode this filly in the Natalma, and she just blew them away. Won by 5 and could have won by 7. And he comes back and gets them out here. I don't know that they were sure that this filly was a Breeders' Cup class, but she obviously showed it in that race at Woodbine, and I'm going to take Catch a Glimpse here. I think you're going to get a price because I think a lot of the other horses here are going to get some support. Among them, Harmonize, and Harmonize looked great in the Jessamine here, and came from almost dead last, went 8 wide and won by neck, and will probably get a lot out of that race over this racetrack, and she should be one of the favorites. Illuminate the 10 is a shipper from Ireland, and I think that she's as good as anybody over there, and she's, Frankie Dettori rides. There's all kinds of reasons to like her in this race. And the fillies from overseas have done very well. Alice Springs with Aidan O'Brien also has a shot, the 3 horse. But I think Catch a Glimpse might give Mark Casse the second win on the day, if I'm correct. And if I am, I will cash a ticket because I will definitely be using Aero Force in the Juvenile Turf and Catch a Glimpse in the Juvenile Fillies Turf.
I'm going to go with Illuminate. 10 post is kind of stretching the boundary of where I would like to have a horse that I'm betting in the 1 mile turf race, but she got a 112 Racing Post rating last time. It's a second start off a layoff, and I think she got a pedigree to like soft turf, which there's going to be some give in the ground. Don't know how much. It depends on what the weather looks like leading up to Friday, but I have to think by Friday there's still got to be a good bit of give in that ground with all the rain we've had. So I'm going to take Illuminate. I'm going to use her with Alice Springs, with Thrilled, with Harmonize, the 238. And I had Catch a Glimpse written down, and I scratched her out and went with Nemoralia. So I was kind of going back and forth. But Illuminate's got to be my key horse in there, using her with those others. And that would be a spread race for me in the both the juvenile races would be spread for me in a pick 4, and then I would just use Liam's Map and Lee in the mile. Gets us to the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Distaff, and I like a horse a lot in here at 1 1/8 miles for 3-year-old fillies and mares and 3-year-olds and up. I'm a Chatterbox, the 3-year-old. 1 for 1 at Keeneland, steadily improving. Great post position, the 2-turn races, the inside's been the place to be, and I just seems like she's training great. Larry Jones does great work with fillies, and I like I'm a Chatterbox a lot in this spot. I'm going to use her with Carolina, the 8, or Carolina, I think it is. Stop Charging Maria, the 4, I'll use. And then there's 2 big prices that are drawn towards the inside that seem to be drawn to get a really nice trip, and I think either one of them could hit the board. Don't know if they'll win, but Frivolous, the 2, and Salama, the 3. I'll be using both of those underneath I'm a Chatterbox. Jim, who do you like in the distaff?
I had a hard time with this one, and we did not talk before the podcast began, but I took I'm a Chatterbox as well. I'm not as definite about her chances as you are, but I did pick her on top. She ran 3 great races this summer after not firing in the Kentucky Oaks. Jones has her going good at the right time. Giroux loves this horse. I think there's a lot of things that point toward I'm a Chatterbox, and if you get 8-1 on her, you better jump all over it because I think she has a real good shot to win. The other horse that I was wavering back and forth is Sheer Drama, the 14. Hate the 14 hole in any race. Anytime I go double digits, that kind of scares me, but the personal incident at Saratoga was a very impressive race when she got lucky and untappable, and she beat Frivolous the race before that in Delaware Handicap. David Fox had her going really well. She's been off since August 29th, but she's working lights out. I think Sheer Drama has a big shot, and the 14 hole doesn't really hurt her. She's not going to lead anyway, so I think Joe Bravo has a shot to get a real good tracking trip here. In the long shot, I'm going to take another horse that I liked a few weeks ago at Keeneland, if you remember, Yahilwa. and she ran huge in the Spinster. Got beat by Got Lucky and Untappable, but she contested the lead all the way around this race course at 1 mile and 1/8, and she was right with the leaders all the way around. And you look at her lines, it's first, second by head, and third by neck. So she gets beat by neck after making all the pace herself. She went off at 20-1 that day, and if she had been on top of the try, I would have been a lucky man. I think she's got a shot here. I think she's doing well. She loves this racetrack. Jimmy Graham rides her well. So I'm going to take her at a price. I'm a Chatterbox on top, Sheer Drama second, Hilwa the 10 third, and then I would use Wedding Toast the 7, Stop Charging Maria the 4, and Carolina the 8 in the bottom of the trifecta and superfecta.
So that's how we see the Friday Breeders' Cup races. Best of luck to you on your wagering, and we will be back with 2 podcasts for the Saturday card. We'll take a look at the first 5 Breeders' Cup races and then the last 4. And good luck this weekend. This is the In the Money Podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.